Very simple rule of handling school-based conflict. Rule number 1, don't escalate the situation. Rule number 2, if you follow rule number 1, don't be a teacher or a cop.
Earlier this week, a video surfaced of a young black student being assaulted by an SRO, Ben Fields, in Columbia, South Carolina. This video clearly showed the SRO and law enforcement should not handle routine school discipline issues. The young woman was hurled to the ground and dragged violently by the officers in front of her peers, causing physical and psychological harm to the victims and the witnesses.
Students of color are under attack. What do we do? Stand up like that. What do we do? Stand up like that. Tell me what you want, what you really want. Justice. Tell me what you need, what you really need. Justice. Tell me what you want, what you really want. Justice. Tell me what you need, what you really need. Justice. Tell me what you really want. Justice. Tell me what you need, what you really need. Justice. Tell me what you want, what you really want. And so in this location in February of this past year, we helped to convene the Black Lives Matter Youth Assembly, which was a really amazing space to happen in North Carolina. There were over 300 young folks from across the state who came down and generated resolution. Low rates of graduation won't be stopped by incarceration. That's bullshit. Get off it. Your prisons are for profit. Low rates of graduation won't be stopped by incarceration. That's bullshit. Get off it. Your prisons are for profit.
Hey, hey, ho, ho. School to prison pipeline has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. School to prison pipeline has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho.
School to prison pipeline has got to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho.
And we are standing in front of the new plantations now where slavery, enslavement of human bodies, primarily black and brown bodies, is still a legal, thriving industry.
That ain't right.
And that industry starts. Yeah, that ain't right. That ain't right. And that industry starts with the marginalization and the push out of our students. All right, so I just want to define this real quick for you, how I see this. All right, we all know this is systemic racism. We all know that it is structural racism. We all know that it is historic. It's about privilege. It's about marginalizing and disenfranchising certain groups of people. But how many of us think of this as bullying? All right, this is the biggest bully system on the planet right now. So what are the things that define bullying? First, you have an imbalance of power. Students definitely have a lack of power when they walk into these buildings. You would think that these buildings are constructed and set up for their purpose, but it is not. It's a lack of power, all right? You would think that when students will walk into these buildings, they will be protected, but they are not, all right? So there's an imbalance of power. This is also repetitive. How many times does this happen every day? We're seeing this stuff on the news, on our social media. It's happening every day. It is repetitive. All right, it is intentional. You cannot say at this point, you know, the thing that the video that we saw down in South Carolina, the thing that broke my heart is there was another grown African-American man standing right next to this while it was happening. He actually backed up and made space so that police officer could abuse that child. All right, he actually made space. That is crazy. What type of socialization do you have to go through to be able to watch one of your children be brutalized by another adult and you not do anything about it? And it is intended to cause hurt, harm, pain, and embarrassment. And so not just the child that was on the ground was hurt and harmed psychologically and physically, but all of those children that were in those seats are harmed psychologically, and all of us that have to see that run again and again and again and again on all of our news feeds, all of our social medias over and over again. That is trauma that we are all suffering at the hands of this system.
We have come this far and we won't turn around. We'll flood the streets with justice. We are freedom bound. We have come this far and we won't turn around. We'll flood the streets with justice. We are freedom bound. We have come this far and we won't turn around. We'll flood the streets with justice. We are freedom